everyone, Sakuryasin here, and welcome to another episode of Pointy Chins, where I take you through my art journey. So, here I'm just picking up from where we left off. This is June 9th, 2015, and I'm just doing some hands. You know, it's always a good idea to work on things that are difficult, and hands are still difficult for me, especially at this point. I wasn't sure how to draw them and make them pointy and stuff. And then here it's more just dicking around, I guess. I wasn't having a very good day here, and I think it shows, you know, sometimes you just don't feel it. But again, it's still really important to keep up the habit of doing the drawings. This one's sort of interesting. I kind of like it. And this one is, like, I have this idea of characters that are sort of made out of like a gummy type of material. So they don't have internal organs or anything. It's pretty nonsense. But, and then, I don't know, this guy's very derpy. And this person's very stretched. And here, I switched ink colors to sepia. And I'm also on the road, so it's sort of like I should be on vacation, but I don't want to stop drawing. And so I figure, well, there's no reason to, you know, stop. You just bring your sketchbook with you. And so here, I liked how this character turned out with the white lips and this white triangle and the white eyes and the white hair in contrast to the brown skin. I think that looks pretty cool. And yeah, I mean, these aren't great. Just experiments. Some perspective of looking at a person who's lying down. And I don't know, some cut up person. I know Kim Jung-gi does this a lot, so maybe I was inspired by that. And here I was really curious as to whether I could shade with the water brush. Here I'm using the Pentel Aquash water brush thing, and, you know, experimenting with making things look three-dimensional. Here I think I blended it while the ink was still wet, so it turned out darker, and here it wasn't, like the ink was dry, so it wasn't like that. And some lines, I mean, I still do this thing where I make lines and try and make them parallel. Clearly I wasn't having a good day, but you can see it gets a bit better, you know, as they progress. It's just exercises to make sure you're functioning well and doing good work. Make sure your hand skills are, you know, high. And this guy, he was for a YouTube tutorial where I was thinking of talking about the importance of form, you know. So this guy's got no form, just this is how a lot of people draw, and then putting down some construction, you know, the basic shape and imagining it in 3 dimensions. And even if it's not perfect, but you just get this sense, then when you put the features on top and you think about this as a 3D shape, it just looks a lot more convincing, a lot more round, you know. Not round as in like a sphere, but 3-dimensional. And then some creature and another creature, some explosion thing, crazy hair. Man, I'm still playing around with the shapes because this one's really long in this torso. So I guess at this point, I'm still really struggling with that. Here, what I decided to do was I did a figure, and then I wanted to practice perspective, and I thought, oh, what if I just put this rectangle thing on the bottom? And I found it kind of helps as a design thing as well. Like, it just looks more finished. So I did that with this and this, trying to imagine, like, okay, where are the perspective lines going to? Some vanishing point in the distance. And I don't know if these are correct, probably not. But as an idea, it was okay. And then here, trying to use it, so I use the white of the page as highlights, and I don't know, he comes off looking very oily. I mean, the pose is ridiculous, but whatever. And this guy's head fell off. And here, I kind of like this one. This is a nice, you know, this S curve. And you can see I actually started with like an S shape for the gesture and sort of had her built around that. This guy looks pretty miserable. And then with this, I just drew with the pen, the brush pen, and not any black pen. I mean, I guess that's pretty self-evident. But I noticed I tried to work it when the pen was getting dry, and it left this kind of texture, which is pretty cool. And more, that box thingy, and here as well, except I didn't color this one in, and some guy, and I put the circle thing. I mean, it looks like it's for graphic design, and I guess that's kind of the point. It's like, oh, this is a graphic shape, but really what it is I probably just messed up on this profile of the character, and so I started just blocking in things in black to correct the contour of his face, and then just made it a circle so it looks like I did that on purpose, because you can't erase with pen, so you might as well make it work for you. And I guess here's the same thing. You'll notice like I have trouble with the noses. That's where you get these circles. And then this one is just a speed painting, I guess, for a YouTube video. And more of this breaking anatomy and things, not on purpose, just because I'm experimenting. And I figure there's a few ways I could go about doing this. One is use reference, and the other is something I've been seeing in people more and more who are very good at drawing from imagination. They just try to figure it out as best as they can. And even if it's wrong, they just try and, work through it until it looks right. I guess I didn't do that too much here. But it's something that's a bit more interesting as an idea, where instead of trying to fix everything right away, you're just training yourself to imagine the solution more. And I like more when I use this perspective-y rectangle on the ground. It seems to plant the figures more, and more perspective with this character. It's not precise, but just the idea of it. And here as well, person sitting at a table. So you have the table, and then you have the rectangle on the ground, rectangles here. It really does help, I think, whatever you can do to think in terms of perspective, to think about people occupying space and not just existing on a page as if the page is flat, which it is, but we're all, working on illusions here. And then some strange shaped things, car, and no idea what. And some more rectangles, and some more cut up people, very Kim Jong-gi like, and I mean, not my skill or anything, but just the idea of cutting them. I really like this character. That came out pretty nice. I like the jacket thing, and just the proportions, the expression, that's just cool. I like it. Good. And then I guess I was having these two exist in a world and sort of talk to each other or something. It's also about design, I guess, like composition. How would I compose this if it was a shot? And I like this thing, though I have no idea what it is. And I don't know. I think they're getting more structural. Maybe the perspective thing is helping, but yeah, they look like they're more occupying space. And see, this thing's pretty, I don't know. Maybe not perfectly, but more solid. Just trying to think of solid shapes in this too. Having the other tone of the water brush helps me to think in terms of like, well, where would the shadows fall? And when you have that, it again changes the idea of what this is. Because you can do a lot with line and make things look 3D, but having tone is just going to help you take it to the next level. And there's a little guy over here who's got some cool shapes. And a guy farting, because why not? Why not have a guy farting? And this figure again. So I stuck with this thing, this rectangle thing on the ground for a while. I don't know why I stopped. Maybe I just forgot that that was a good thing and I should keep doing it. But anyway, so another person on a rectangle. The legs are very flat, so that's something I'm going to have to work on, and the expression is retarded, but Who knows? But these are cool. I like these. I like the pointy nipples, and that she's got like a different body type. You know, she's not clearly, she's a lot more bony, not as like fleshy as a lot of my characters. And I think her nose is interesting. And so I wanted to do a side view, and I came up with this, and it's like, yeah, that's okay too. That's pretty nice. Again, the mistake circle, which is serving as a graphic thing. And I like this, like it's her hair, I guess, but it just looks like she's in there. And then some ideas for, I don't know, superhero figure. Here I'm trying to block a character into a basic shape. And here, what I'm doing is more experiments with just proportion, I guess, and like, okay, how could this be a cool shape, and what's a good proportion? And with this too, like, let's say you have a rectangle and you want to fill it with things, and this can be used for anything. It could be used for buildings, it could be used for clothing, but just understanding basic appealing design, appealing shapes. Does this look good? Does it look bad? Should I have not included this? What does this look like? Is it interesting to have a bit of, I don't know, brokenness here? Just figuring things out. And here I wanted to do like a guy running. And man, I've struggled with this so much, this type of running thing. I think hopefully one day I'll get it. But so he's just sort of walking now, and then here it's running more and trying to include the perspective, trying to add things. Because here, this is all about gesture, right? Like trying to make a figure move, give them energy and stuff. But then I'm trying to mix the two things, gesture and perspective. So it stops being just gesture. And it's not perfect. It's not going to be great gesture, and it's not going to be great perspective. But I think it's really important to combine these two, because often with gesture, it's easy to think of it by itself as flat shapes and stuff, but it's hard to think of it as existing within form. And that's something I really wanted to learn. And here, playing around with shapes of faces, different eye shapes, you know, this and this and this and this and this and this. Yeah, different eyes. You know, see, like an experiment is, oh, you have the thick upper eyelash, which is normal. And then, oh, what if you reverse it? Not really because it looks good, just out of an experiment. Like, what happens? And different shapes, like this head is a diamond, basically. Or no, it's not a diamond, it's a hexagon. And different, you know, just basic shapes. Make the shape first, and then make them into a character. And yeah, I think it's a good exercise and pretty fun. And I still like doing this, you know, just putting shapes down and then turning them into faces. Here what I was doing is some more frilly stuff and some more characters. I like the mood of the characters. I like how the attitude is, but maybe there's still problems with things. You know, these breasts are completely stupid, but it's kind of just running with it. Like, instead of trying to hide behind making something realistic, I'm just thinking like, well, it exists and it's quite extreme anyway. Like, look at this waist, look at the arms and stuff. Like, everything's blown out of proportion. So at this point, it would make less sense to keep the breasts sort of realistic. And because I would think about, you know, politically correct stuff, and it's like, no, it doesn't make any sense, because you're pushing the character. Like, is this nose accurate? No. So then why would the breasts be accurate? Doesn't make any sense. So it's like, just push everything, be free to experiment. And then with this one, I thought, well, what if she's old then, and still has breasts, but they would sag a lot more. And so they're not voluptuous. And yeah. And then here, it was, I mean, the breasts are poorly done here, and everything is done really badly. But I was thinking that I hadn't done stuff on Photoshop in a while, and I wanted to get back into that, you know, practice with things. And I was using the smudge brush a lot for her hair. And here some ideas, just some, ideas for affinity and stuff. And this is a character. I don't know, doesn't make any sense, but I'm kind of giving up on things making sense and just cats with stupid patterns. No idea what this is, but why not? And then here I wanted to do value studies. So these are all from reference, but I wanted to use my style. So I didn't just copy the reference. I made the characters in my style, but then used the lighting that was in the reference and tried to render it. So this one had shiny breasts, and so I needed to capture the shininess. And this one was drinking out of a bottle, so I wanted to capture that, capture the hair. I think this one looks pretty cool. This one was a lot softer, and so it was much harder to do in a way. So I was struggling with this one. And then this one, again, I think that's pretty cool. The shapes and things. Okay. So it was a good idea, I think. And then here, more gesture stuff. See, I do this exercise. A lot of people from Art Center did it. Like, I first heard about it in Gnomon DVDs. I think Scott Robertson and Feng Zhu talked about it, where you just draw 2 dots and then you try and connect them with a line, and then it makes your, it's just good practice. And so doing that for your motor skills, your coordination and stuff. I think this is pretty nice. These 2 characters are they're kind of staring each other down. I like the shapes. And then I guess, I don't know if they're related, but yeah, maybe. Like this character like kicks and this one's gonna attack again. Stuff. Shapes. See, varying shapes. Trying to be very loose and gestural and just have energy. I don't want to get too much into things being correct and then getting very stiff. It's like, it doesn't have to be stiff. It just has to be cool. But cool is in itself very difficult. It's not that easy. Well, maybe it is for some people, but for me, it's more like, what is more interesting to me? A picture that looks cool or a picture that looks correct? And for me, it's always cool. Like, I'll take cool any day of the week. So just playing around with shapes. It's like, well, how do you do that? Well, you got to do it. You got to, if you want your figures to look gestural, play with gesture. And then this is another thing from reference. But again, trying to keep it in my style, I guess, with my shapes, like with the drawing at least. I guess this wasn't a very good day. Tried to get as much as I could. But there are days like this where either I don't have time or I'm just really not feeling it. And I guess it's sort of a good thing to learn how to allow yourself to have bad days, Don't expect every day to be great. And then what I started doing is I was looking at this. This is June 29th, 2015. So Street Fighter V isn't out. And at least when I recorded this, or drew this anyway, I don't know if it's out now. But I saw some, some early beta stuff from it. And the characters looked really good and appealing. Like their things were really well done. And in YouTube, what you can do is like play the thing at like 0.5 speed. And so I just watched these beta gameplay things with Kami and stuff and put it at very slow speeds and just noticed like, wow, this is really good gesture. So I did a study of that, and this is another one from that, and this is another one, and this is another one, and this is another one. And then this one is after Joe Mad. I started looking at his stuff again, and I thought, instead of looking at it, I'm just going to try and copy it. But instead of drawing it in exactly what I see, I'm going to try and draw it in my style, but so like kind of a semi-copy, like do his stuff in my style and see what it looks like. And it's to get a better sense of, how does this like maybe I can learn more, because this happened with reference. When I was just copying the reference, it's like I was learning at one level, but when I started translating it into my style, it felt like I was learning at an even higher level. And so here's another Jomad study of, I think this is from Ultimate Spider-Man or something. I don't remember what it was called. And then more Street Fighter V, Cammy, here. And here is another Jomad. And then this one's from Imagination. And I think it does sort of rub off, like doing these type of Street Fighter ones. And then this Imagination one's like, yeah, looks cool. Like some of it is leaking onto my own stuff. And more Jomad, Imagination, Imagination, Street Fighter, Jomad, Jomad, and Imagination, and more Imagination. I guess I did this for a while, because more Street Fighter, and then trying to figure it out on my own, which is obviously this didn't work out well. And then this from Imagination, but I'm starting to feel like it's carrying over some of the Jomad things that I was learning. It's like, yeah, how his figures are structural, but also dynamic. And this figure, it's like I couldn't figure out, like, should I do this body or this body? Or I just ended up doing both because I can't erase. This character is kind of cool. More Street Fighter. And then I guess Imagination, which is why it's really, like, this looks much better to me than this. And then Imagination. Yeah, so this whole page is Imagination. So when people say, should I copy or use reference or do Imagination, I don't think it's right to be thinking about either or. It's like, yes, how can I get better? By copying? Yes. By using reference? Yes. And by drawing from Imagination? Yes. Do all of them. Ideally one after another to, like you put it down, then you try and draw from Imagination. So you see how much of this can I retain? How much can I, use at a later date? So the next episode is just going to be called July. I mean, it is called July because I've stopped, trying to come up with names for them. And I figured I'm just going to do each month. And that way it saves me energy on having to come up with names, and it just makes them easier to find. So stay tuned for the next episode, and thanks for watching.